Adam Scully alongside good friend of the show, TJ Rule from Golf Away Tours. TJ, how are you this morning, man?
I'm great, Scully. Good to be here. Thanks for having me on. It's just great to be on site.
Isn't it great to be here on site and talking about golf that's happening here with players in the field here? Now, obviously, you're a massive golf fan. When you saw the news break, was your reaction similar to mine when your eyeballs almost went through your forehead? Now, I was on live TV when it happened, but what was your reaction?
I love that reaction. I love that they filmed that, your reaction to that, because it's the reaction everybody had. I was actually playing in a golf tournament at the time.
Right.
Happened to check my phone, and I couldn't believe it. I thought it was, I didn't think it was real.
I thought it was fake. Yeah.
Right? And so, had to check a couple sites to make sure that it was real, and it was just shocking.
Yeah.
I think it was shocking to everybody, and I don't know. I guess my immediate reaction as a golf fan was it's a good thing because it's going to get all the players back together playing in the same tournaments, and that's what we want as golf fans. And obviously, there's a lot of things in the back end that have to happen, and who knows, and I don't want to get into any of that, but as a golf fan, hopefully it means that the best players are going to be playing in the best tournaments together, and ultimately that'll be good for the fans.
Yeah, hopefully it'll be good for the fans, good for the game to see all the best players in the world back together. Now, getting back to the golf here this morning, we spoke on the phone 3.5 hours ago where you were tracking Rory McIlroy. What'd you see from the golf course earlier this morning?
It's just so fun to watch, one of the best players in the world. I'm a big Rory fan, and, to have him here is great for the tournament. Hopefully he keeps winning, he keeps coming back, right? But, we watched him tee off on 10. His first hole, and he knocked it close and rolled in a birdie putt, and it was just a great start to the day, and hopefully he can I know he's scuttled a little bit, I think, but he's still in there, and hopefully he's there on the weekend and in contention, because the tournament needs that, and I think deserves it, right? And with all this news going on this week in the world of golf, the focus needs to be on Oakdale this week and the Canadian Open,
especially for the second straight year where bombshell news has broken the week of the RBC Canadian Open. As Rory McIlroy said Wednesday during his press conference, he feels sorry for the RBC Canadian Open, as he should, because this is one of the historic tournaments on the PGA Tour calendar where players want to be here to win one of the great trophies in all of golf. But you mentioned Rory McIlroy. He's dropped even par through 13 holes. Your leader right now, Justin Rose. So Justin has risen his way up the leaderboard. I'd really try to pun there. That didn't quite work. But Justin Rose, 5 under right now. Matt Fitzpatrick, T2, along with Corey Connors. So, Tej, great to see a Canadian as well get up in the mix, because we haven't seen a Canadian win this tournament since 1954.
I know, and it's going to happen soon, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, you look at the amount of the quality of Canadian players out here. It's bound to happen, and obviously Corey being one of the best. Again, we were sitting on 10 when he hit his approach shot in there and almost holed it on his first hole of the tournament.
Yeah.
And a great start, and 4 under right now, and again hopefully in contention over the weekend. But yeah, with all the Canadian talent out here, it's just inevitable. We're going to have a Canadian champion at some point, and hopefully it's here this year at Oakdale.
Hopefully it is here this year at Oakdale. Now, you've had a chance to play this golf course. Now, not with this routing, but you've played this golf course many times before in different tournaments, different events. What are your impressions from when you've played this golf course to what you've seen earlier this morning?
Well, it was a little bit more rough out there, I'll tell you that. It's a great golf course. I've always really loved it. An old Stanley Thompson, the original 18. It's got a lot of character. The routing's a little bit different out there, and I was saying to you off the air before, I haven't been out to the front 9 yet to see the composite routing, but we'll go out there after this. And then the new 9 back here. It's just a classic old golf course that really is framed very well. And but boy, that rough out there is thick and long, and I guess it's getting the guys ready for next week with the rough they'll face out at LA. But I think it's going to be a challenge out there this week. But these guys are so good, and they're bombing it down there and hitting wedges in. So if they're in the rough or in the fairway, it probably doesn't matter.
Yeah, we saw Rory McIlroy earlier, because the 13th green is just off our set location here, and he hit a tee shot that was at least 50 to 100 yards past his playing competitors this morning. So players taking different strategies here, taking longer, trying to bomb driver down there to have wedge in their hand. You mentioned LA, Los Angeles, and you're with Golf Away Tours, of course, and we're going to spend the next 25 minutes or so talking about travel for you, now that, knock on wood, it seems like COVID restrictions are a thing of the past now. How has your travel been so far in 2023?
Well, you know what? The travel world is busy, and
Yeah.
not just the golf travel world, but the entire travel world. People are just wanting to get out there and get on the road again now that the pandemic is behind us finally, and hopefully for good. And everybody knew that last year was going to be really busy because everybody during the pandemic pushed their trips forward, and 2022 was a crazy year. But things have really kept going in that direction for this year, and are extremely busy. It's hard to get availability in places. That's the big challenge
Yes.
with our bookings, and but it's a good problem to have for us. After 2 tough years,
Yeah.
we're happy to be back, and so 2023 is off to a great start. Personally, I traveled a bit over the winter, which was nice.
Nice.
Sticking around, I like to stick around for the Canadian summer because it's short enough. But yeah, it's been a good start to the year.
And just for you guys, like when the world was basically shut down, travel, for you guys to stay afloat, I have to commend you because it would have been easy to say, there's nothing we can do here. No one's traveling. So what does it say about you, Ron, the team, to be able to stay in business and to keep doing great things for golf travel?
Well, I guess a couple things. When it first hit, it was that in mid-March in 2020, and we thought, okay, well, we have all these trips booked for this year, and okay, so the next couple months, a couple of them will be canceled, but we'll get back into it, and people will travel in the summer. And okay, maybe they'll travel in the fall, and okay, maybe they'll travel next spring, and it kept getting pushed back. So we didn't really know. It was kind of learning as you went, right? And luckily, we were lucky as a small business that the government supported us. So, we were very fortunate to be able to get some benefits that way to stay alive. And yeah, it was just basically you had to just push through, and I knew that I was going to get through this at some point.
Right.
And Ron in the office and myself, it was just the two of us at the time, and we were just trying to keep busy. We weren't that busy, but it was just a matter of getting through it because we knew it was going to end at some point, and then it would get back to being busier than ever, and that's what's happened.
Well, there's so much great golf worldwide, and we're going to get into a trip that I recently learned about here, and the specifics of that on the other side. But, let's say someone is watching the show or listening to the show and say, hey, I want to go to Northern Ireland. I want to go play St. Andrews. How far in advance, generally speaking, let's say, generally people like to travel in groups of whether it's 4, whether it's 8, whether it's 12, etc., and they want to plan that sort of bigger trip. How far in advance are we thinking here? Is it a year and a half? Is it a year? Is it 2 years for someone to plan a trip to some of the upper echelon courses, whether it's Scotland or Ireland?
Yeah, it's a good question, and it really depends on the destination.
Okay.
So in the past, if you had, for example, the biggest courses in Ireland and Scotland, and in the past you booked them 8 to 12 months in advance.
Right.
Now it's more like 16 to 20 months in advance. And, we're already starting to book some trips for 2025. So there are some places that are already pretty much sold out for 24.
Wow.
So that's kind of what it's gotten to, and that's been the biggest challenge coming back into a really busy time in travel, is getting people to buy into that timeline and understand that if they want to, book something, they got to book it that far in advance. We get so many phone calls where they're like, well, I know I'm really early, but I want to go play, Royal County Down next September. I'm like, well, okay, I get that it's 16 months away, but you're too late.
Yeah, you're too
right?
late. Yeah.
And it's hard for people to understand that, but it's up to us to get that message across.
Right. And, for you guys, obviously there's so much great golf worldwide, but, golf only takes up whether maybe you're playing 36 holes. So let's say golf takes up with travel and all, let's say 5 to 6, 7 hours, depending on how long your bus ride is, etc. But there's the rest of the day to work with too. What's it like for you guys to plan these different destinations? Whether maybe it's different recommended dinner locations or stay and play hotel locations, that sort of thing.
Yeah, it's really important to know for that reason where to stay.
Yes.
and what else you can do. So it's a big part of our job, and what people rely on us for is expertise in the destination, right? Not just the golf courses. People know the golf courses; they see them online,
Yeah.
and you can look that stuff up. But then where to stay and what to do afterwards, and it's becoming a lot more of an emphasis on people's trips. Is not just the golf, but the off course facility or activities as well. So if people want to go to a whiskey tour, or do a culinary tour, or a wine tour, or there's so many different things to do depending on the destination, and that's what we're there for.
There you go. There's so much exciting, so many great travel destinations to get to. And on the other side, we're going to discuss one that maybe some wouldn't consider off the top. You know, your Scotland's your island, but there are a lot of great golf courses in Spain, in Portugal too. And rumor tells it that we'll be heading to Portugal in just under a year. On the other side, we'll discuss that and much more, and how you can plan your golf trip of a lifetime. Now, Graham DeLaet joins us around the table. GD, how are you this morning?
I'm great.
Beautiful.
Nice
Okay,
to be
well, you guys have collaborated for a trip to Casa de Campo coming up November?
End of November, yeah. One of our
Tell
favorite
us all
places
about it.
that we've talked about a lot
Tell
on the
us
show
all.
over the
Yeah,
years. Right?
I've never been. I'd love to go at some point, but tell us all about this great trip you guys are doing.
Sorry you didn't get the invite this time, Scully. but
That's okay. We got many trips to go
Sometime
to.
soon.
I'm not that old. Yeah, it's all good. Tell us about
We got
Casa de
time.
Campo.
So yeah, as you know, we talk about the resort a lot on the
Yeah.
show, and Mark loves it and goes there often. And we decided, Graham and I started chatting at this event last year actually, and
Nice.
looked at doing a trip, and we thought, well, what better place than Casa de Campo? So
There you go.
we put it out a couple months ago, and it sold out like that. So unfortunately, nobody can sign up right now because we're sold out. But that's a good thing for us because we're gonna have a great time. And Graham hasn't been there before.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I actually hadn't even heard of it until last year when I met you, TJ, at this event, and then I started Googling it, and it looked beautiful. And then I started talking to some people who had been down there, and everyone says nothing but good things about the place. So I'm excited to go.
Yeah,
Wow.
special place.
Yeah. So so there's so much in terms. There's how many golf courses are there, Teach? Is that
So
at least
there's
3?
4.5 on the property. One of them's private. So,
Oh, okay.
But there's the Teeth of the Dog that everybody knows. It's been ranked top 50 in the world.
Mhm.
And, they're all Pete Dye golf courses. And then there's a Die 4,
Yes.
which has 27 holes on
Yes.
the other side of the property. Much different golf course. A lot of elevation, incredible vistas and views. And then they got the Links golf course, which is the third golf course there, which is also great. Doesn't have quite the views of the others, but still a great track. And yeah.
And good food, you said, and some
Oh.
pools. And
There
Yeah.
you go. Now,
It's-
how's your golf game?
I've played 3 times
Okay.
this
great.
calendar year.
That's fine.
So
That's fine.
actually, the last time I played, though, I shot 8 under with the boys. So
Wow.
it's still in there.
You still
but
got
if
it.
I would have shot 74 instead of 64, the nice thing now, honestly, is that the rest of my day doesn't depend on how I played.
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
it's pretty nice. You kind of freewheel. I'm putting better than I ever have.
Yeah.
But it's not like tight, you know what I mean? Because
Totally.
I'm not practicing or anything like that. But like, there's days where it shows up where I think that I still have it, and then there's days where it's like, oh yeah, I've been practicing very much. You can't expect too much.
Right. Yeah. I remember, Graham, in your prime, the sound that your iron shots would make. It's so pure, and it's awesome to hear you're playing great golf, and awesome you're going on this great trip. And I am jealous.
Yeah, they don't sound like that anymore, though.
No.
Unfortunately.
Okay. But now speaking of great trips, TJ. So Mark sends me this screenshot about going to Portugal in a commercial break about a month ago, and I could barely get through the next segment because I was like, oh my God, so this is happening. So Portugal.
This is now happening for sure.
Okay, so you've obviously been to Portugal.
Yeah.
Not just with me, because when we went to Spain, November 2021, we flew through Portugal. We had quite an experience in the Lisbon
We
airport.
flew through the airport too, trying to catch our connection.
Watching you run through an airport after getting no sleep on an overnight flight was one of the great experiences of my life. in
We
a
didn't
weird
make it.
We did not quite make it, but that's fine. That's fine. So
Yeah.
tell us about Portugal.
So this is a similar trip. So we went to Spain last time with a few PGA professionals,
Yeah.
and we saw some of the best golf courses over there, right? Valderrama and
Yeah.
and Soto Grande and La Reserva, and a
Finca
beautiful
Cortesín,
area down
yep.
there, Finca Cortesín, where they're having the Solheim. And this year we're going to show you guys Portugal.
Wow.
And show that off to some PGA pros as well. So we're still kind of working out the fine details of it, but Portugal is just, honestly just as good as Spain. It's got some incredible golf courses. There's some really nice new golf courses that are opening up there as well.
Mhm.
There's a new one called Comporta Dunes, just south of Lisbon. It's a David McClay Kidd golf course that hasn't actually officially opened. I think it opens next month, but it's open for some preview play. And Ron from our office got to play it last month and to rave reviews. Apparently, it's an incredible place. So that'll be on our itinerary. And another one called West Cliffs, which is a course just north of Lisbon that opened a couple of years ago. And again, the quality of golf courses in Portugal is just increasing every year. And we really want to show it off because it's a great destination.
As you were saying that, I've been trying to Google image these right now, and my jaw is almost on the floor here, Graham. Here's the first.
Oh, wow.
Oh, look, that's on a cliff. Wow. Okay, this is so. Obviously, there's great golf in Portugal, but when we were in Spain, it was the golf was unbelievable. But we had a great tour guide there as well, a host.
Yeah.
And it's everything around the golf too. For that trip in Spain that you mentioned, a bunch of PGA professionals, and for them to take their fellow members there at some point, which then they have done. But what else can we expect off the golf course when we get to Portugal?
Well, it's similar, right? It's not just about the golf
Yeah,
when you go there,
totally,
right?
totally.
And the weather's always great there. But the food and the wine is a lot of the experience as well, right? And so whether you're going down to the Algarve, which is a pretty touristy area in Portugal, a lot of people know about. There's so much great golf down there. There's beaches. There's lots of places to hike. It's just a great family destination, a great destination for couples. And then up into Lisbon, which is one of the great European cities to walk around. It's just a beautiful city. So we'll experience some of that as well. And then it's just, even if you get up to the north and into Porto, there's just some awesome parts of Portugal, the wine country up there as well. So there's lots to see and lots to do off the golf course as well. But we're going to enjoy a lot of the golf for sure.
Here's a Google image here, Graham, of one of
Doesn't
the courses.
it look awesome?
That is amazing.
Yeah.
I don't get. I've been able to play a lot of great golf courses around the world, and then I see that, I'm like, wow, yeah, that looks nice. I would go there.
Have you hit Portugal?
I played in a tournament when I was playing mini tours in Azores. It's like kind of like the Hawaiian Islands of Portugal. So it's like all lava rock or whatever, but that's the only time I've ever been in Portugal. And it's not really proper Portugal, really.
Wow. Okay, so I'll ask both you guys this question because traveling. There's a lot to get into travel. Obviously, there's packing the right clothes, but there's getting adjusted to the right time zone. When you were playing and traveling, going to the Open Championship, playing overseas, what were some of the things you did to try to get on the right time zone?
Yeah, I mean, if you can kind of try to start a couple days early, like stretching your sleep, like, when we went over to like Malaysia, I remember like we would leave like Sunday night after Napa tournament. The entire tour would basically jump on a flight and we'd go to Malaysia. We'd land in like Hong Kong, and then it was a quick flight to Kuala Lumpur from there. And then it would be Tuesday afternoon, and everyone's like,
where are we right now?
And you're completely exhausted, but you try to stay up as late as you can so that you can kind of get it. And it's like, but there, everyone is in the same boat. Everyone tees off Thursday. They're tired. You play Wednesday Pro-Am, and you're just kind of like a zombie out there or whatever. But, it's a little bit easier when we were going to the British because you could kind of start prepping for it a little bit. And so, like going to bed a lot earlier, trying to get up earlier and just slowly, so that time change is only maybe 3 hours instead of 6 or 7 or whatever.
Right. Teach for you?
Yeah, so prepping is important, and some people could do that, some people can't. But I find that when you're going overseas, and a lot of what we do is to Europe, so you get the overnight flight, right? You get there early in the morning. The key is just don't go to sleep that day. Don't nap.
It's so hard,
it's
though.
So
it's
hard.
So hard.
Don't go to the hotel and lie down and have a nap, right? So we always tell people, set up around a golf that day, right? Get settled, get your luggage over to the hotel, but then get out there and be active. And it's easier to stay awake if you're walking around a golf course, right? And then have a bit of an early dinner, have a good night's sleep that night, and you're back on track. It's always worked for me anyway, but the key is not to sleep that first day.
Yeah, I remember when I went to Ireland leading into the 2019 Open Championship. We were there about 10 days earlier, and we scheduled a round at the Island Club, where we landed. Our flight was actually a little late, so it was kind of a sprint to get there. And anyway, so we play around to golf. You get sort of settled in, perhaps enjoy a beverage or two, maybe helps the sleep a little bit. But
those Guinness taste really good.
Oh, yeah, a little fresh Guinness for sure. Now, you haven't been to Northern Ireland, though.
Not
right?
Northern Ireland. So actually,
GB.
I was just thinking, though, before the Open Championship, I always went to Doonbeg, which is in the southwest of Ireland, County Clare. I had some buddies there, so I would try to go there 4 or 5 days early, practice, play some links golf with the boys, and then head over usually to Scotland or England or wherever. But Northern Ireland is one that I haven't been to, that I'd love to get to.
Yeah.
Well, maybe that's the next one we got to do.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I want to see photos, Graham, of you at Royal County Down, because that place is as good as it gets, as hard as it gets, and you've got to keep it straight, and you need a good caddy there. And that's my next point of conversation here, because caddies are a big part of golf in Europe. Any tips to the trade, or what's it like playing with caddies? Because there are some real characters out there, aren't there?
There
Caddying
certainly
in
are,
Europe.
yeah. And you know what? I always recommend to people going over there to get a caddy.
Yes.
I think it really does add to the experience. Now, there's some people that don't love the caddy experience.
Mm-hmm.
I do. I think it really adds because it's not just what they offer you on the golf course in terms of guiding you around and reading putts and so on, but it's the stories, right? And the back and forth and the jokes they throw out there, and they just make it more interesting.
I would
think.
say the key too is always tip them on the first tee, not on the 18th green. You might get the odd kick and a decent lie.
Wow. Okay, I've never heard that one. That's quite something. Okay, Teach, before we go to break, where's next for you for travel?
I'm not going anywhere till the fall.
Oh,
so
well, there you go.
yeah, I'm sticking around. Actually, I lied. I'm going next week to France, a little getaway with the family. But
there you go.
But
Vacation,
not
an
for
actual
golf.
vacation.
Not
Wow.
for business, not for golf. But so other than that, not till the fall. But I'd be heading over to Ireland and Scotland in October, which will be great. And then,
What's the best time to go to Ireland, Scotland?
Great question.
You know, any time between May and September is pretty much even, I'd say. You know, the days are a little longer in June and July and a little bit warmer, but not much.
Yeah.
So any time between May and September. Our busiest months are September and then I would say May.
Right.
And then you get into October, and a lot of people go then as well, but you're cutting it a little close then.
Yeah, I used to
with
play
the
that
weather.
Dunhill in October.
Yeah.
I
That'd
played it a
be
couple times,
cold.
and it can be extremely cold.
But even the Open Championship can be cold,
That's-
right? I mean,
yeah,
you could be up there in
exactly.
St. Andrews in
Yeah.
the middle of July. Last year they were lucky; they had great weather,
Uh-huh.
but it could be guys could be out there in toques and sweaters.
I
in
remember
July,
the first
right?
time I played St. Andrews, and we were walking. It was like this perfect day. It was like 20 degrees Celsius, just a little feather of a wind, and I was like, "Oh, come on!" I told my caddy,
It's
I'm like, "Where's this weather?" Or what? I'm telling you, 3 holes later, we're holding the umbrella sideways
Yeah.
and walking in. And he's like, "You asked for this."
Hanging
Yeah.
on
Yeah.
for dear life.
Yeah.
Now, when you guys do go to Casa de Campo, TJ, you're what, at 1 or 2, maybe?
around there.
So what are the shots here?
Well, I'll take one aside probably.
1. You shot 8 under.
I know, but I told you I can also shoot 8 over.
Okay.
Right.
Okay. All right. All right.
I don't
Well,
I don't like
well-
my odds.
Like they say, all the bets are won on the first tee, so that's great.
Yeah, that's it.
well, boys, you're planning a great trip to Casa de Campo. Teach, can't wait to go to Portugal with you. Can't wait to go overseas with you again. Hopefully I play a little better golf than the last time. I'll never forget. We're at Valderrama. We just shoot a little thing for our social media page, and I had the case of the shanks on the Valderrama range.
Oh boy.
And I'm a 4 index. Like, I'm a decent player, and I was hitting hosel rockets. I was like, oh, my God, I have to put this somewhere in the club face. But anyway, we survived. Boys, thanks for your time this morning. Really appreciate it. And,
Thank you,
TJ, we
Scully.
will see you hopefully for round of golf at some point here at some point
Let's do it.
in the summer.